I've been very much against this trade because I know he wants a new contract. I don't see how you're unhappy in Buffalo. Although it sucks, it probably sucks to live there. Unhappy.
Oh, because he hates it.
Yeah, as far as the football situation, I don't know how you're unhappy. He obviously had the really bizarre start to the season last year where Stefon Diggs, by the way, we have the compensation.
Yes.
Here we go. You ready for this?
Diana Rossini reporting. You might change your minds here, boys.
Uh-oh.
The Buffalo Bills are trading wide receiver Stefon Diggs to the Houston Texans in exchange for a 2025 second-round pick.
Wow.
The Texans also receive a 2025 fifth and sixth round pick.
Wow. They really wanted to get rid of him. So they basically traded their first-round pick for.
Do we know which second-round
Diggs
pick it is next year?
The 2025 second-round pick via the Vikings.
Okay, so it's a Vikings pick, so it's probably the better of the two.
Yeah.
Picks.
So they basically
who cares?
But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like who cares. I'm just saying a second-round pick.
But they basically traded their first for Stefon Diggs in a second. If you look at the trade, they basically traded their first for Stefon. Am I doing this right?
I'm trying to think.
Because they're giving up a second. They got 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They got 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
One of those seconds is gone.
Yeah, from the Vikings.
But 1 second remains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they basically traded their first round pick for Stefon Diggs in a second.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's a good job.
That's an excellent job.
And you know what the beauty of this is? This is just how far we've come as an organization. By the way, just tuning in, Stefon Diggs, Houston Texan. This is how far they've come. So this was their backup plan, right? If they really tried to trade for Keenan Allen, this was their backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
Stefon Diggs was the backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
I remember once upon a time, last time a receiver was involved in a backup plan was when they failed to sign Carlos Hyde as their starting running back, and they traded DeAndre Hopkins for F. and David Johnson.
Think about that. Think about that right there. Side by side, those two trades and who's doing them and what's happening here. I knew it, man. I mean, I knew it when they
knew something was going on.
I kept fighting the good fight here. Something else is coming down the pike, and is this I kind of feel like this changes everything. In terms of how we're feeling.
Are you
already.
Surprised by what the cost was?
Yes.
Did you think that it would be a little bit more?
Yes. I mean, a second-round pick? I mean, you're going to pay the guy, but you cleared the cap space. And
for next year, too.
And for next year, exactly. And the thing about Diggs is that he's a fall-out-of-bed, 80-catch, 1,000-yard receiver, 8 to 10 touchdowns. I mean, just falling out of bed. I said 80, 100 catch. 100 catches, 1,100 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns automatically. And then what it does for Nico Collins, Tank Dell, the entire arsenal, and you got Joe Mixon lurking in the background as well. We came into the offseason saying they got to get weapons. They have to do everything they can to surround C.J. Stroud with something that makes him an immediate contender. Landry, today, the Texans are an immediate contender, and I don't know what the ceiling is.
No, I mean,
I don't know what the ceiling is.
What have I been saying? I've been using these 2 words. I've been beating them to death. Offensive weaponry, offensive weaponry, offensive weaponry. I've said it 100 times.
Yeah.
They got it.
Yeah.
And they gave up a second next year.
Mm-hmm.
So they still have the 2 seconds and third. They can do whatever the F they want now.
Yeah.
And you're not at the mercy of these receivers. Like, I was starting to wonder, okay, it's cool to say that you need a receiver, but you're sitting there at, 41? And this receiver might go at this point, this receiver might go at this point, this receiver might go at this point. And now C.J. Stroud's going to be throwing to Stefon Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell. How about that?
And Dalton Schultz, and Mixon out of the backfield. That's what I'm saying, because we were already very impressed with what they were doing on the defensive side of the ball. They got better. They got a lot better on the defensive side of the ball. Now, let me just say this one more time. The Texans, ladies and gentlemen, are a contender right now before the draft even occurs. Flat out. They have the explosive offense, the elite quarterback. They have a defense that can come at you from both edges. They have a shutdown corner. I mean, all the elements are there before the draft even occurs. That player makes that big of a difference. That's what we were looking for.
Now he's going to get a new deal, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's
what's the new deal going to look like? How much are you going to give him? All that, and then we figure it out. How does he fit in? How does he fit into this culture, this organization? The other thing is this that I think is big about this with the Texans. You're just tuning in. Stefon Diggs. Give the compensation again.
Stefon Diggs traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans. The Texans trade a 2025 second-round pick, the one they received via the Vikings. The Texans also receive a 2025 fifth-round pick and sixth-round pick. So they actually get a fifth and sixth and Stefon Diggs for a second-round pick. That's robbery. You're going to pay him, but you planned for this. You had, I by the way, just to tear up the old rundown here, but I was like,
it's torn.
I was like doing math, which always hurts me before the show. And I'm like, only one team has spent more guaranteed money on free agents this offseason, yet only two teams have more cap space. The math adds up to they had another deal coming down the pike. This is it. This is it.
And this also goes back to the Vikings thing.
Yes.
Because
he had a plan.
Yeah, he had a plan, I guess. I mean, golly. I mean, this came together quite nicely. Mm-hmm. Stefon Diggs.
They stole him. They stole him. It's not my money. I mean, it's not my money. Think about this. Like I've said this, already. But when you look at what he produces at 30 years old,
well, I just like the cost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just like the cost. I think it's weird that Buffalo traded with. I mean, I guess Buffalo doesn't give a damn about that. In the conference division crap.
Yeah.
Because this is a team that you're looking at. You're looking at to chase.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Texans are in a better position by far right now, all due respect to Josh Allen, than the Bills are. I think. I think they're certainly right there with them. At least they're right there with them.
Well, I mean, the Bills have no receivers now.
Yeah, yeah. This is a pretty incredible offseason. If you start taking the whole.
No, it's not. I mean, it's
the whole picture.
No, and they have a full draft.
Yeah,
Like that's the thing you got to remind yourself.
Yeah.
Because they traded. We go back to the original move. You trade your first-round pick. You get 2 seconds. And then you have the pick swap. One of those seconds is next year. So you're wondering, okay, what's going on here? Then you trade that extra second that you get for Stefon Diggs, the Vikings. You get a little bit back, and you keep your full draft.
And the second.
Usually when you make a move like this, you do it. It's kind of a give-take type of thing. A lot of times you give away draft compensation, and you get a player.
Mm-hmm.
They still have their full draft compensation, and they got one of the most productive receivers of the last few years.
Yes. Now let's talk about the plan here. Bravo, Nick Caserio. Like, this was a brilliant stroke. We've said it. That's why I said I knew something was coming down the pike. Like, he doesn't make a move without knowing his next move. It is chess. You use that term a lot. Chess, not checkers. It is chess. So not only did he work that deal knowing that he had something else coming, by trading your first-round pick, now even your rookie pool cap money is lower. So you're going to have more money there and more money that you cleared with the with the restructuring of the contracts. So he made the deal knowing he was going to make another deal to get someone like Stefon Diggs. It ended up being Stefon Diggs. And you reduce the rookie pool money you're going to have to pay this year because the second round is the highest pick you have. And you restructured contracts to get even more money to sign Diggs. This is a brilliant, brilliant plan that Nick Caserio has put together here.
But was it a plan or was it an adjustment?
It was a plan. No, it was. There were adjustments along the way.
That's always been the biggest praise of Nick Caserio is his ability to adjust.
Yes.
And they try to get Keenan Allen. They pivot, and this is their pivot.
No, absolutely they adjusted along the way. But he knew, okay, I'm going to do this, which is going to lead to these restructures, which is going to lead to a trade, which is going to lead to less rookie pool money that we're going to have to spend this year, more cap money for either Keenan Allen or whomever. It ended up being Stefon Diggs. Like, Nick Caserio has put on a clinic. He has put on an absolute clinic.
It's amazing how this organization is run now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing because you would think you're in a desperate time. You're not. You got this deal. And the other crazy thing about it is where this organization is, brother, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, but there was a time where people used to want to leave here.
Yeah.
Like, this was the place where you were unhappy. Deshaun Watson wanted out. DeAndre Hopkins, unhappy, but B.O.B. ended up getting rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
J.J. Watt granted his release. Player after player after player, not too long ago, leaving here for better opportunity. You have a guy that was in Buffalo. They were seconds away from winning a Super Bowl a few years ago. He was a first-team All-Pro.
Yeah.
This year, they were a missed field goal away from perhaps beating the Chiefs. He's unhappy in Buffalo, and where does he end up? Right down the street.
Right down the street. Right down the street. Absolute brilliance, an absolute game changer. It changes the entire structure of the AFC. The Chiefs are not just looking at Buffalo and Cincinnati anymore. They're looking at Houston. I mean, flat out. Like, they are a contender. They are a huge threat in this conference, and they have an elite quarterback that is just starting. This has been an absolute brilliant offseason.
I mean, this is and it's not over, sir.
Yeah. Then you got to draft. Oh, he's pretty good in the second, third round as well.
Yeah, you have a full draft, and now you can get real crazy. Mm-hmm. And oh, by the way, you have a full draft next year too. So It's not like you gave up a draft pick. Like you gave up what you got.
Yeah,
house money. It was basically house money. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable that they pulled this off.
And just let's just look at their weapons right now, keeping in mind what C.J. Stroud did without these weapons. You know, with an unproven Nico Collins, a rookie Tank Dell, who knows Robert Woods, etc. Now you got C.J. Stroud, Rookie of the Year, going into his second year with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Stefon Diggs. They re-signed, they re-signed Dalton Schultz. They brought in Joe Mixon, who's good out of the backfield. And, oh, by the way, the story of the offseason until the last few weeks was the defense and how much better you got on the defense. You always know. I mean, we are always honest on this show. And when we see something that we think is dog crap, like what happened with DeAndre Hopkins, in real time, we tell you that it's dog crap. In real time,
this is the
opposite. I'm telling you right now, this is an absolute game changer for the future of the organization.
Yeah, and you just you wonder, like, when you first hear that, you're like, okay, they're going to give up 2 seconds, because that was where I was going to be like, hey,
maybe, yeah.
I don't know about that. Mm-hmm. Now you gave up the extra one.
Yeah.
So you take the optimal trade, and this is what I was talking about when it was them trading up. At the end of the day, if we go back to the start of this month, the Texans traded the optimal trade. When we put it all together, the Texans traded their first-round pick for Stefon Diggs and an extra second.
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
we can deal with that.
Let's go.
We can deal with that.
So let's go. So they basically what happened was they did a pick swap.
Mm-hmm.
Second for a first, and you give us Diggs.
Yeah. Dude, that's like, if that was fantasy football.
What are they saying in Buffalo right now?
How fast would you make that deal in fantasy football?
How fast?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
If someone called in, and I'm dead serious, if someone would have called in 3 weeks ago and proposed this sequence of events, you got to be ready here. If they would have proposed this sequence, you know where I'm going. If they would have proposed this sequence of events that the Texans do what they did with the Vikings and then do what they did with the Buffalo Bills, you know where I'll tell them to go.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Playing Madden, man.
He was ready.
Hey,
he was ready.
It sounds like a Texans Twitter
Madden,
trade
baby.
proposal, man.
They're playing Madden.
Somebody calling in.
What about Diggs for a second next year?
Yeah, sure, pal.
Like, all right, man.
Sure, pal.